Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and these are the upcoming crowdfunding campaigns for the month of February. We're about to dive into a whole bunch of crowdfunding campaigns, all launching throughout the month of February. Hopefully, these aren't always exactly on time. Things move around, things shift, things adjust, games get added, games get removed, timelines get changed, all of that and more. Although, this is a good time to go ahead and remind you to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter. Adam covers these every single week. I do this video once a month. He does these every single week, which means he's able to cover more of the campaigns. He has the most up-to-date information, and he also goes into them into a lot more detail, which is particularly relevant this week since this video is probably shorter than the normal upcoming crowdfunding videos I do. I'd guess maybe 8 to 10 minutes, and that's because I have to get up in 5 hours and head to Level Up Retreat, which means I am a little sparse on the research today. Usually I try to give you at least a minute or two on each game, giving you the brief overview of what it's doing. This week I'll talk about it when I already know anyway, but I didn't have a chance to dive into as much research as I normally would, so hopefully we'll be back next week. And until then, for the rest of this month, you have Adam, so you're good to go anyways. With that, let's go ahead and start. As usual, we'll be going through these in order of when they are launching. Starting off with February 4th over here, we have Earth Under Siege Flashpoint Reprint plus Nemesis expansion. This is, well, an Earth Under Siege Flashpoint reprint and expansion campaign. The expansion is going to add a few new things. Don't really know heavily what it does add. I believe it adds some more bosses and things. I'm not entirely sure of the things it adds, but Earth Under Siege is going to be a stealth-based game, which you take control of 1 to 4 characters, and then try to move through the various missions you're going to be going through, while trying to be mindful of when to basically set off the bad guys, versus when to be a bit more stealthy. Knowing when to push a little further, knowing when you can actually afford to make noise, and knowing when you can afford to have the alarms blazing is going to be the difference between winning or dying in this game. We have Wildscale, we have Explorers of the Woodlands Wildscale Swamps from the Wood Studio. This is an expansion to the to Explorers of the Woodlands, which is a cooperative sort of dungeon crawling, lighter-hearted game. This is going to be launching again on February 4th. We have Casinopolis. Casinopolis is going to be the newest version of Sprawlopolis. Sprawlopolis has had many expansions. We had Sprawlopolis, Naturopolis, Agropolis. Well, I think it was Agropolis, then Naturopolis. And now we have Casinopolis, the newest version of this game from Button Games, giving you again that solo-friendly, well, it's 1 or 2 players, I think. Actually, it might even be more. I think technically you can play with more than 2, but strictly speaking, this is primarily designed as a solo experience, just one that you happen to be able to play with more players as you try to go ahead and build the best casino as you build through the Vegas Strip over here, taking advantage of some interesting new mechanics. I'll have additional coverage on this game as well on the channel if you want to see a full review, but other than that, this is the newest Sprawlopolis edition from Button Games. Then we have an Age Contrived Folklore and Pilgrimage. An Age Contrived is a engine building, tableau building game which you have a ton of cool pieces, a ton of cool bits, but ultimately you're wandering around the board trying to collect various tokens, trying to build up these monuments, and now we have Folklore and Pilgrimage, 2 new expansions adding new characters and twists to this strategy game. Incredibly unique game, worth checking out, very different than the other games out there, just because of how much this game is doing and the ways in which it is doing it, so check this out, launching February 4th as well. We have Massive Darkness Dungeons of Shadowreach. I believe this is a February 5th campaign. This is the newest, well, Massive Darkness. Massive Darkness famously had Massive Darkness, then Massive Darkness 2, which is Hellscape, whatever it is, Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape, I think that's the title, and now we have Massive Darkness Dungeons of Shadowreach. They seem to be dropping the 2 in favor of simply making this Massive Darkness, which makes sense. Massive Darkness 2 was very well received. It makes sense that they would just want this to be Massive Darkness, although I don't think you need to drop the 2. That's just a choice they're making. But either way, this is going to be leaning less into the angels and demons and much more into traditional dungeon crawl, but utilizing the Massive Darkness system with 6 new asymmetric heroes. There's going to be a lot of content for this game, but the first thing they have offhand is 6 entirely new classes for the game, because each class is its own unique little dungeon crawl, little unique minigame. The classes are all very different. It's not just having a bunch of characters, it's 6 new classes means 6 new ways to play the game with different characters that all bring the unique twist to how you're going to explore and navigate through this dungeon. I should have content for you on this game. Don't know exactly when. I might be a little into the campaign, we'll see, but I should have content for you on Massive Darkness. We have Win or Die from Wales Entertainment, bringing you a fog of war tactical skirmish game. Think a little bit Stratego, but with a lot more army building in the game, where you won't necessarily know the forces you're up against, but you're going to have to eventually face off against them, and then figure out what they are on the battlefield as you attempt to outmaneuver your opponent in this game. We're going to have StarDriven Gateway, relaunching over on Kickstarter. They did a campaign on GameFound. They're doing a follow-up campaign on Kickstarter. This is bringing you an epic starship adventure as you wander through space and try to, well, get as many points as possible as you go through the different scenarios that this game throws at you. We have Terminus Frontier, a cooperative tactical adventure board game. This is going to be one of those big campaign-driven, character-driven games where you're going to be wandering around this, well, whatever it is you're wandering around as you go through this giant adventure, launching on February 11th, Terminus Frontier, bringing you that kind of big box Gloomhaven adjacent experience. We have Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan coming to you from Mighty Boards. This is an expansion to Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan, which has been incredibly well received, bringing you a cooperative dungeon crawler narrative-based story game, and this is bringing you a second print run as well as expansion content for the game. We have Vineyard, a winemaking game from Pencil First Games, also designed by Roberta Taylor, if I'm not mistaken, who has done Creature Comforts and Maple Valley with KTBG, and this is going to be a shared worker placement and action selection game as you utilize shared worker placements on this board, which actually Pencil First Games had another game that had a shared worker placement or worker movement game a while ago, but this is very, very different themed. But either way, quick engaging turns, unique location actions, ongoing choices over here. That's going to be Vineyard from Pencil First Games and Roberta Taylor. We have Meerkat Kingdoms, an area control Meerkat placement dice game in which you're going to be placing out your Meerkats, coming to you from Envy Board Games, and it seems to be borrowing on that a concept that's been used in a bunch of games, but specifically Las Vegas is the one that comes to mind, in which you have to be mindful as you try to take control of various locations. If you're tied for who has the most control, nobody's going to get it, so you do want to be mindful as to where to push just a bit further and when to give up your battles as you play through it. Envy Board Games has Forbidden Lands, my favorite game from them, amazing experience. Haven't had a chance to play Meerkat Kingdoms, but this will be launching across in February sometime. We have Crits, what is this called? Crits and Tricks, Tug of War, and Thieves of Eldris. 3 different games from the Twisted Realms, all coming to you from Inside Out Games. This is a trio campaign of 3 different games. Crits and Tricks is going to have you a polyhedral die trick-taking game over here. We're going to have Tug of War, a feud between 2 characters over here. You're going to rally recruits, use your special abilities at skirmish locations, and raise flags to claim the throne of Sylvanheart. And then lastly, we have Thieves of Eldris. You've captured the attention of the Thieves Guild and must prove your worth by outwitting your rivals, stealing from your targets, and keeping your true identity hidden. Will you join their ranks or end up penniless in the gutter? That's what we have for a trio of 3 games, the Twisted Realm series from Inside Up Games. We have Northgard, Uncharted Horizons over here, the newest expansion to Northgard, a area control game as you, well, based on the video game IP, it's an area control game, and this is going to be a new expansion for it, launching on February 18th. Then we have Champions of Wind and Fire. This is a game which you're going to be building your dragon and training your dragon in order to compete in a series of tournaments. They did the Hidden Cryptids, or Cryptid Nature, I think Cryptid Nature, if I'm not mistaken, was their last game, and this is one has you taking control of dragons, training them, and then competing in tournaments in order to be the champion of Wind and Fire. And then second last over here, we have Blasphemous, the board game from Ludus Magnus Studio, launching towards the end of February. Based on the video game, this is going to be a competitive 1 to 4 player game, which is going to take place in the dangerous worlds of Cystodia, if I'm not mistaken, as you go ahead and go on adventures, taking down various things, occasionally teaming up to take down stronger enemies as you wander around this board in this competitive, but again, many elements of cooperation in it, based on the video game from Ludus Magnus Studio. And then lastly, we have Suriya. Suriya is going to be coming to you from the same people who brought you, what was the last game? Barbaric. Barbaric, I believe, was the one that just landed. They've had other games, but Barbaric just landed. I think it's been generally well received-ish so far from the feedback I've seen. But this is Suriya Last Horizon, an asymmetric deck-building war game, launching towards the end of February, where it's going to be asymmetric deck building, which already has my interest over here. That combined with the table presence, the art, the presentation, which they've generally done well with in their prior games as well. This one has me very intrigued, although I am coming in very light on what I actually know about it, at least so far. And that's kind of the 16 or so campaigns. Was it 14, 16? I don't remember the amount I have, but those are the campaigns we have launching throughout February. Again, regular reminders to go ahead and subscribe to Shelf Clutter, and of course, we do have our picks of the week, picks of the month. Picks of the month are going to be the 3 campaigns that I am most anticipating across the course of the month over here, and to that end, we have, well, 3 of them. Coming at number 3, we're actually going to have Suriya the Last Horizon. This is a kind of a blind pick over here. I don't know enough about the game, but just the idea of an asymmetric deck building wargame that has me intrigued already, and again, the art, presentation, setup, and all that does have me very much intrigued. So this is my number 3, but coming in with a lot of unknowns around it. Coming in at number 2, we have the Twisted Realms setup from Inside Out Games. This just has a trio of small box games, which I'll admit that multiple smaller box games, I've kind of been burnt more on those in recent times when I've backed those campaigns. I'm always like, ooh, a bunch of small games, and then they don't necessarily work for me. But this is coming to you from Inside Out Games, which means it's coming to you from an established publisher, which has me more optimistic. The art, the presentation, the world, all of that has me very intrigued and very interested in Twisted Realms. And then lastly, my number 1 pick is easily going to be Massive Darkness, Dungeons of Shadowreach. I'm a huge fan of the first Massive Darkness, and by that I mean I'm a fan of Massive Darkness 1, I'm a huge fan of Massive Darkness 2, and so more Massive Darkness 2 is an easy win as far as I'm concerned. And so that's what we have coming up for February. That is what we have coming up for February. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one. How many narcissists does it take to change a light bulb? None. It's gaslighting.